Welcome back to State of the Nation. Data feeds still coming through in one place simultaneously on all our social media platforms. You also can be part of the show. Tweet it _Gimba Umar and use the hashtag State of the Nation. Well, hundreds of protesters are presently occupying the National Assembly. Although security men barred the protesters from entering the premises of the National Assembly, they have taken over the main entrance of the complex. Citizens United for Peace and Stability said that one of the demands of the group is that the Senate returns the sport utility vehicles it bought for 35.1 million naira each. The protesters are also demanding that the National Assembly stops toying with the laws of the country for its own interest. They also demand a stop to playing politics with the budget and scrap constituency projects completely because they call them fraud. They have promised not to back down until their demands are met. Garba Ibrahim, the co-convener, Citizens United for Peace and Stability, joins me from our Abuja studios for a better understanding of what this means. Thank you so much indeed for coming on State of the Nation. Are you still occupying the National Assembly this evening?
Yeah, thank you very much, Gimpa, for having me this moment. And let me say good evening to Nigerians. Well, your question, if we're still occupying, I can tell you that this morning we felt we should we should take a kind of steps to re-strategize so that we can actually mobilize Nigeria much further. But as of the moment, we just make a suspension of the occupation, but we're planning to get back to re-engage again immediately.
Why do you feel that legislatures should not have anything to do with constituency projects? Is there a sense in that?
Mr. Gimba, if you remember, the situation on ground as we're speaking is actually about trying to put a better structure in this country, meaning after the elections, with the emergence of the new president, that is President Muhammadu Buhari, we all know Nigerians are like saying, okay, this is the right moment that we are going to get things done properly. Meaning there's going to be fight against corruption, there's going to be an end to impunity. We're looking forward to good governance. Now, if this is going to be achieved, I can assure you it can never be achieved without taking a holistic measure, which we know there are three arms of government, which are executive, legislative, and the judiciary are all part of governance or government. Now, in this, we must be able to look at the critical aspects of these arms of government, which is very much closer to the people, which is the legislative. In that regard, the legislative have been supposedly, they should be close to the people. But if you remember, we've been seeing a lot of, from their body language, it is more like a business cycle whereby they could only come there, they form some kind of friendship, they form some kind of alliance whereby they can only relate to themselves. When issues concerning Nigerians arises, you discover that very few of them are much paying attention to the yearnings and cries of the common man. And for that reason, we felt like the issue of the project, which they refer to it as a constituency project, which is supposed to be an idea, which is their own invention to actually relate them or bring them closer to the people. But you discover that the project are not really implemented. And not even that, the figures being allotted or allocated for this project are actually mind-blowing. You discover that 50 billion meant for a particular project in a remote area has no end. In fact, they hardly implement or execute the project. And at the end of the day, you discover that nothing is on ground to show or to compare to the value of that amount of money. We are saying, no, this is just a special arrangement from within the Senate or within the National Assembly to actually empower the politicians so that they can use money to actually get what they want, especially during elections.
No, your group, your
elections, they pay more attention to how they can win election. If it takes them borrowing from the banks, if it takes them selling all their assets, just because they are very much confident that it is true, that they can, when they get into the seat, it is possible through the appointment within the house, which is known as principal officers, they might get a very good position there, so that at the end of the day, they will be rich, they will be wealthy enough to pay to settle the debt, so that they can also establish their political empire. So you look at it, at the end of the day, the masses are at lost.
Your group,
nothing is moving. So we are saying no to constituency projects.
I understand your passion, and you've been speaking quite lashingly at the National Assembly in your best interest. Your group, though, that's COPS, has also complained about the salaries, allowances of legislators. Perhaps you're fighting a losing battle.
You might look at it from that angle. I understand, because this is not the first time Nigerians are raising their voice concerning the payment, the salaries of the members of the National Assembly and also the senators. But I can assure you, this is not news to Nigerians that our National Assembly is the highest paid assembly in the world, because it's a global world. You can use the internet to get more information, to understand what is happening across other countries. It is sad that even when Nigerians are hungry, we have nothing working for us. From the executive, from the previous administration, we saw how a system was run where a particular agency of government has multiple accounts, whereby whenever the budget is passed, monies allotted or allocated to certain agencies are being distributed into different accounts. And we can see the new administration of President Muhammadu Buhari worked hard to ensure compliance with the law that the National Assembly themselves have agreed and passed it even during the previous administration. But funny enough, these people have never embraced that idea of the TSC. What are we talking about? We're talking about representative of the people that are very much closer to the people. They should really consider, since there's a new administration which is working towards making life better for all citizens, they are much closer to the people. So what do we expect? We expect them actually, showing much more concern and remorse in the plight of the common man. So we feel their salaries alone is enough to actually provide some of the basic amenities within the communities. But these people are so much comfortable that at the end of the day, you see them even within the chambers sleeping. They actually don't discuss issues. In fact, most of the laws that they're supposed to pay attention, I can assure you, Gimba, let me remind you something. As we're speaking to you, the very moment President Muhammadu Buhari got into the office, remember, there was a bill that has to do with money laundering, an anti-corruption bill, that the president proposed that they should pass it into the law. We were following. Everything going on there is on social media. You will get information the way you want to have it, if you care. And we got to understand that since the very moment that Mr. President pushed this document to them, they sideline it and drop it aside, and they feel they owe no one any explanation. The body language is what is moving Nigerians. It is what is actually frustrating us. These people are not really representing us. They are not really representing the interests of Nigerians. So their salaries is making them too comfortable, too powerful. And while we are talking about a salary of a common civil servant with the 18,000, yet is not being paid. That is the minimum wage. And yet somebody is there making himself comfortable and still using the constituency project to enrich himself. And you think Nigerians, particularly our generation, should just sit down and watch this? We're saying no. We are not fighting a losing battle or a lost battle, Gimba. It is a battle that all Nigerians must stand together. We must make sure that, yes, it is achieved, and we'll continue to do that. Thank you.
Those are really strong terms that you have chosen to use to explain the ongoings as you understand it for the National Assembly. But I'm just looking at some of your demands, and I can see here the resignation of the Senate President. But you know fully well that the case of false assets declaration is still being looked at the CCT. So why make this kind of demand?
Gimba, the media, we actually organized an event, but unfortunately, the media, we never had control of the media. And this is another aspect of corruption that I can assure you that we're facing. Some of the journalists or media that went in there, they actually went in with a motive. there was no single document displayed that is carrying "we want Saraki to resign" or "we are after the Senate President" in what we planned. But I still understand some of us on social media, on their private walls, on social media, actually express what they feel should be done. And I can share with you some of the ideas. Probably it is where you got that idea also. They said, personally and ideally, in a sane society, whatever kind of accusation or allegation is being channeled or labeled against a leader, what is expected of that leader to do is actually to honorably step aside pending when investigation or whatever is being achieved before he could think of coming back on his seat. This is what some of our members from their own personal point of view shared. But collectively, as the protest, we tendered some of our document, our demands. I can assure you, we've never highlighted that we are after the Senate President at the moment in that particular gathering. No. We respect the fact that there's a rule of law in the country, and the courts, the CCT court, is actually one of the institutions that has the mandate, the authority to actually look into that. So why should protesters purposely move to National Assembly because of one person? You had the issues I raised earlier. So I think we should be fair. Actually, we did not, in our own capacity as a coalition, that we went in there to actually go because we want the Senate President to go down. We have no business with what goes on within the court, meaning we cannot interfere with the court as long as the court is the Nigerian court that we all are citizens that respect the law that made the court.
Now, let me draw your attention to another troubling issue at this time. As you know, the state governments are asking for allocation, saying that they are the custodians of natural resources, and also coupled with that, some of the states are unable to pay salaries to this time. Some are owing as much as 5 months, in other cases 4 months salaries, down all the way to 2 months of salaries being owed workers. What do you make of this? Is there a sense that the allocations to state governments be increased?
To be candid, talking about increment of state allocations, it shouldn't be the issue at the moment. What should be the issue at the moment is actually looking into the aspect of internally generated revenue coming from the states. I think it's much more important. Mr. Gimba, remember, our state, particularly the states where I came from, like Gombe, Northeast generally, I was expecting by now the vast land we have after President Muhammadu Buhari has declared that agriculture is one of the key areas where he's going to pay much attention into. I was expecting by now to hear the states actually clamoring or inviting investors in agriculture to take advantage from the rainy season that is fast approaching. But unfortunately, they are leaving their state, approaching Abuja, heading to the presidency to request the president to give them much money. Okay, let's think of it. What actually prompted the issue of owing the salaries? Is it that the states have no responsibility in raising or utilizing whatever potentials within the state to actually raise funds, raise money? Is it that we're going to rely solely from what comes from the federal government?
Mr. Garba,
is this what it takes to actually have somebody at the top as the governor of a state?
Mr. Garba, we're fast running out of time.
It is sad. Ideally, within this generation of ours, we expect having people that can think out of the box. People that will take advantage of the opportunities. We have natural resources. We can bring in investors. We can sign an agreement within the state level. Why is it that if it comes to an issue that they feel the president should not interfere because they have autonomy as a state, sometimes they tell the governor, the president, stay away. But why is it now they're saying, keep giving us more money, we don't care if we make money from our states, it doesn't mean anything? Younger generation, or our generation, is saying no to that kind of approach. We don't want to depend on any other region that has this.
I'm afraid,
I can assure you.
I'm afraid, Garba Ibrahim, we will have to leave it at this point. Co-convener, Citizens United for Peace and Stability, many thanks indeed for your time here on State of the Nation. We do appreciate every of your valid points here on Channels Television, and that's how it's been on the program. The show continues online at _Gimba Umar. See you same time next week for a fresh edition.